Today's topic, we're going to be talking about surface smithing in Civil 3D, best practices for surface analysis. Understanding the process involved with combining surfaces and the utilization of the volume tools for cut and fill quantities. The outline of this is we'll review the surfaces involved and why we should recreate the surfaces in a new model, create a combined surface, we'll add surfaces to that combined surface, add a boundary to the combined surface, and run a volume report and add the volume report to the drawing file. The reason we need to create the surfaces in a new model is simply this. Civil 3D gets a lot of data involved, and you get such large files, it's best to separate things for different processes. For instance, pipe modeling and so on and so forth. So creating this surface type in another file is just going to make your overall project file smaller and easier to work with. We start here with an existing surface. This is the overall existing surface in the lighter color. We then have two abutment surfaces which will be cut, which is this one and this one here. And this is also the center pier cut, which will be here. And what this is a project that was worked on that is redoing an old bridge on a state highway. The creation of a combined surface, what we'll do is we'll start by importing our surfaces from a previously created XML file and then set those styles for each surface. We will then select the existing base surface and create a copy of that surface. After we create the copy, we will rename the surface and change the surface style for that. Once the new surface is created, we will paste the remaining two surfaces into the new surface by utilizing the prospector, opening the combined surface and the definition tabs, right-clicking on edits and selecting the paste surface option. Upon doing this, the three original surfaces will remain untouched as they were, and we will have a new combined surface. We'll then add a boundary to that combined surface. And what we'll do is we'll go through Prospector, open the combined surface, right-click the boundaries, click Add, and in the Add Boundaries dialog, we will name the boundary, select Type as Outer, check Non-Destructive, and leave Mid-Ordnance Distance at 1 foot, then click OK. We will physically walk through this within the Civil 3D platform, so you will actually see how this all works together. We'll then create the volume report and add the report to the drawing. On the Analyze tab within the ribbon, you'll select the volumes dashboard. On the dashboard, you'll select Create New Volume Surface. In the Create Surface dialog, you'll name the surface, select a style, choose a base, and then select a comparison surface as you see here. I chose the name of the volume surface with contours of 2 and 10 with a null setting so it don't show. Our base surface will then be the existing surface and our comparison surface will be the combined. Then we'll go on to the volumes dashboard. Click Generate Cut Fill Report, which will be this button here. This will create a cutfill.xml file that you can print to an 8.5 by 11. Then we'll go back into the volumes dashboard and click on this button here, which will insert a cut fill summary into the drawing, which you see here. And I can see this is I'm gonna be able to walk through this pretty quick, so I'm sorry if I don't get a lot of time in here. The description actually looked like it was gonna take longer, but as it is, it don't look like it's gonna take very long. And forgive me for that. Again, this is my first trial at this. What I've got here is I've got my surface model that I'm gonna create the surfaces in by importing a .xml file that was previously created from the original surfaces that I created. These surfaces were originally created by utilizing our grading tools with feature lines. That will be a topic that I will be approaching later on as we go through these webinars. So the first thing we're going to do is we'll come up to the file pull down, we'll do an import. And again, as many of you know, this is Autodesk, which is AutoCAD. And AutoCAD, there's several different ways to do the same thing. We can bring it in through, not only through here, but we can come into the Insert tab and land XML import. I am feverish. I've been doing this since utilizing Civil 3D since 2007, so I'm kind of stuck on the pull downs and the icons. So we'll just come here to import a land XML, which I saved previously on my desktop. We'll open that. And as you can see, we have our three surfaces here that we're going to import. Now that these surfaces are created, I'm sure it defaulted to a style that I really don't care to have. So I'll come in here to the surfaces, and you can see it automatically populated those surfaces for me. So I'll come into the existing and start there with the surface properties. Change this to a 1 in 5 existing. Okay. And apply that. There we go. Now you can see I have my existing. While we're looking at this, you can also see my background was set up from a PDF that was originally generated just for the background, and you can see actually where the existing bridge is and the existing abutments and center pier. This stuff will all be removed in this process. We'll come into the center pier. We'll change that to a 1 in 5 design. And we'll come to the abutments. And again, change that to a 1 in 5 design. Now that I have my surfaces all created, we're going to go ahead and get rid of this background so it's a lot easier to see what we're doing. We'll just freeze that out. So now that I've got this created, what the next step is simply what I want to do is utilize my base surface, which is my existing. And I'm going to simply copy that by just highlighting it, right-clicking, come into my basic modified tools, and do a copy. And as you see, it's asking me for displacement, base point. So I'm going to simply go with the old 0, 0, 0, and hit enter. Now I'm going to paste it right back in here and just do a 0, 0, 0 again. And the process is complete. I just copied that surface. If we come in here now, you can see that we have 2 existing surfaces. I don't want 2 existing surfaces, so I'm going to come back into my surface properties. I'm going to rename that surface Combine. We'll change this style to an as-built just to give it a different look. And we'll click apply. Now you can see that is right over top of where that existing file is. The existing file is still underneath there. I didn't delete it. I didn't remove it. I didn't lose it. It's still there. But I have this copy of it over top of it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to come in here and I'm going to add a boundary to this by simply opening this up, coming to my definition, right-click on boundary, and add a boundary. And I'm going to call that just simply the combined outer. It's an outer type. We're going to leave this as a non-destructive break line and just leave the mid-ordinate distance to 1 foot. And just simply say OK. Now it's asking me to select the object that I want to add as my boundary. And I've pre-created this line, and I'm just going to simply click on it. And it cuts that surface back. And as you can see, that existing surface is still, the original existing surface is still there. Once we've gotten this far, it's simply going to be adding all the proposed surfaces to this existing surface, or this combined surface. And we can do that by coming in here to Edits, right-clicking on it, and you just simply grab Paste Surface. In that paste surface, you want to grab the abutments and the center pier by holding your control and clicking on both of them and highlighting. Once you say OK, now you can see it's added them all together into one basic combined surface. Everything ties right into the existing like it was originally, and ties into the proposed surfaces. Now again, in doing this, we still did not do anything to harm our center pier and abutments. We can actually come in here to surface properties and change this to a null set, which will not display. And as you can see, the original surfaces are still there. Come back for display purposes and change this back to a 1 in 5 as-built. Once we've gotten this far, this is where you come into the voluming. And again, this is going rather fast, so I hope you guys are taking notes. I really didn't expect it to go as quick as it's going. Again, first time, please don't fault me. We're going to come up here to the Analyze tab on the ribbon, go into our volumes dashboard. And my window's way over here. So now we've got our volume dashboard open. The first thing we need to do is create our volume surface. So you click on this Create New Volume Surface. We'll name it simply Volume Surface. We'll give it a style. And in this case, we really don't need to see this style. We know what surfaces we're working with. So I'm going to technically actually grab this null surface, and that'll be my style. The base surface we're going to want to start with will be our existing surface. And then in our comparison surface, we're going to use the combine. Now, these cut and fill factors, they can be adjusted. At this time, I don't think it's necessary to do what we need to do. But if you've got cut that you may be extracting topsoil or some other surface off the top of that, you may want to use that cut factor and cut it down by whatever amount of thickness you are removing from the surface. In this case, though, the surface that's underneath us is within a riverbed, so I'm not looking to remove any topsoil from the bottom of the riverbed. Again, now we see that we have the volume surface. We have a cut factor and fill factor of 1. We've got a style for our surface. We have a 2D area in acres, which is a 0.68 acres. We have our cut adjusted, which is in cubic yards. We have our fill adjusted, which is kind of ironic. There really shouldn't be any fill here. And the net adjusted in cubic yards, which is the cut adjusted less the fill adjusted, which equals the adjusted cut in cubic yards. We now come in here and we generate the cut fill report by clicking on this button. And that creates our XML file that we can save to our desktop, to a file within the project. And we can also print this out to an 8.5 by 11. So we can then we have the numbers in a hard copy that if we need to send it to a client or whichever the case may be. Once we have created that, we come here, and this is insert your cut fill summary. And this cut fill summary will simply select insertion point. We'll put it there. And as you see, there's the summary of those cuts and fills. What's nice about this is if you have multiple surfaces that you're getting volumes off of, it will actually stack them and give you totals overall between all of them. You may have more fill in one, less cut in another. That'll just extract and give you your totals. Again, I have time. We can walk through all of this again. We're going to get rid of this. We'll get rid of this. No real sense in getting rid of these and doing the XML all over again. We can get rid of this report. And we'll get rid of this cut fill report. One more time, we'll walk through this. Again, we're going to start by doing a quick copy of that existing surface at 0, 0, 0. We're going to paste it back at 0, 0, 0. And then we can escape that command. Again, we have two existings. We're going to rename that. Combine. We'll put this on a 1 in 5 as-built just so we have different colors. We want to come in here in the definition, add a boundary. Say OK. We'll select that boundary. We'll come back into edits, paste surface. This time we'll do one at a time. We'll do the abutments first. As you can see, the existing still is running through where that pier is located. We'll do it again. Paste the surface, add the center pier, and now it's tied right back into it the way it was. And everything's linked together. As you can see, it's all one surface. And then we'll come up here to analyze again. Volumes dashboard. And again, if you didn't want to combine all these surfaces, you could do each one of these surfaces separately. You know what? Let's try that. Let's come in here. We're going to say the abutments. And we'll call that volume. We'll put that on a null layer, null surface style. Say OK. We're going to use the existing as our base. Comparison surface is going to be our abutments. We'll say OK. Then again, that 2D area, those abutments, and the cut area, there's no fill in that area. And we have a net adjustment. So now that we have that complete, let's go back in here and create another one. And this one will do the pier. And again, we'll change this to a null. Base surface will be our existing. Comparison surface will be our center pier. Say okay. Now we have both of them. We have two of them. Okay, so now we found out, let's see if this is where, there's no fill adjustment in there this time, which is kind of ironic. So now let's go ahead and generate this report. Brought it up on my other screen for some reason. And as you can see, you're still ending up with similar amounts that you had when you did them together. So now we'll go ahead and add that again to the file itself, which you can zoom in on to a viewport on your sheet. Now you've got your abutments volume and your pier volume, the amount of area for each one, and your cubic yards of cut for each one, and your totals. Again, I hope this was enlightening a little bit. And again, the reason we try to do this kind of stuff on within different files instead of trying to do everything all in one model. Some of the smaller ones you can get away with it, but when you get into the really large models and you start building corridors and stuff, you're going to want to separate this stuff out and do it in its own file, simply because the data sets get so large, and it's gonna lag your drawing, and you'll probably end up crashing, pulling your hair out, and having fits. Civil 3D is a monster. It will do a lot of stuff, but it does get very large data sets. Another time we'll get involved in data shortcuts. I'd like to come back with you probably maybe next month and give you an idea on how I created those surfaces from, again, the grading tools. Again, thank you for your time.